Okay, so we are now at His Dark Materials, episode 3. Now, the first big difference with this episode is it's the first time we're shifting directors here. The first 2 episodes were directed by Tom Hooper, and now we are shifting to Dawn Shadforth. So we're jumping to right where we left off last episode, and it is Lyra now captured by these Gobblers. She's in the back of the van. But it's just quick pace from the start here, which I love. And then it doesn't delay going to last week's cliffhanger. And what was great about this opening sequence was really a standout shot where you see the hawks are flying over the van. So then you know these are demons. They're of these Egyptian people. And then you get Tony Costa there as the reveal. And they save Lyra. And now, like I said in my previous reviews, I have to let main theme of a show sink in to see if I like it or not after a couple episodes. I can officially say I love the main theme. I think it really works. It's catchy, but it also has all of the emotions of the show that goes from hope to sadness to just adventure and edge of your seat all in one tone. So props to that, because it's so hard to nail a theme song with so much pressure, because you really got one shot here to nail it, and I think they did it right. So we get some important themes kind of building here, where we see Miss Coulter now is pissed off that she lost to Lyra. She raged Jordan College, going back to where she had picked up Lyra from the headmaster, and you see when she sees the headmaster there, he calls her out for disregarding Scholastic Sanctuary. But you see, Miss Coulter could give a crap about that. And an important line the headmaster says here is, "You don't believe in original thinking," which again is going to be a big theme throughout this story of His Dark Materials and protecting that at all costs. And Ruth Wilson is just really now fully deep into this role of Mrs. Coulter. And you just see that with her acting here. When the third time she says a lithiameter, she takes her time with it and spells out a lithiameter. The way she says it is like, wow, like you could just see she is completely in character, which is always awesome to see in any actor or actress. But she finds out that Lyra has the lithiameter from the headmaster, and this makes her snap. And again, what's so great about Ruth Wilson's portrayal of Miss Coulter is she does such a good job at acting cool, calm, collective, and smiling, and then snapping instantly and getting furious. So now we get to see some important scenes going on where Lyra now is with these Egyptians, and it's the first time she's meeting John Fa and Coram. And they're telling her they've known her since she was a baby and that she's important, and that they're going to have Macosta take her in. But Lyra's hesitant to this. She's losing trust of everyone now after what happened with Miss Coulter, and she still can't really figure out why she's so important and why Miss Coulter is obsessive over her, which this episode starts to make clear. And I love how this show is depicting Pan and Lyra's relationship so well, and how important Pan is to Lyra, because Pan is Lyra's rational voice. They've made that clear in this show. It's clear in the books, and he's the voice of reason here, pleading to Lyra, just stay with these Egyptian people. They're good people, and it's because also they're looking for their kids. They have something there that would keep them from betraying Lyra. So shout out to the voice actor too of Pan. He hits that innocence and that kind of like childlike demeanor of Pan really well. And you got nice little scenes here. I mean, you see that Lyra is now dressing up like Egyptian for disguise, and she's with Macosta here in the kitchen. And this scene's important because A, it shows how great of an actress Anne-Marie Duff is and how good she's playing this role. This episode really showed that off as a whole for her. But it's important symbolically because it just shows you how she handles Lyra as a motherly figure compared to Miss Coulter. Because in contrast to Miss Coulter, Macosta wants Lyra to be her own woman and choose her own path, where Miss Coulter was the complete opposite and wanted to mold her into herself, like a little clone. Now there's also a really good scene here too, where you have Lyra with Coram on the boat, and they're talking about demons. And there's a great line Coram says here where, when demons settle into their final form, it reveals what kind of person you really are. And that's why he's like questioning, why is Miss Coulter's a monkey? And it makes you as the audience wonder too, and it kind of can lead to theories, which I like. But what really these demons are, and them settling into their final form, where they're always changing when they're growing up, and then they settle into something, it kind of is symbolic too of just adolescence and going from a kid to being a teenager, and you start to actually form the person you're going to be, and you kind of have to stay there, where as you're a kid you can try different things out and you're always changing what you're doing, and as you get older you kind of just stay more towards a certain path and final form. Just shows you the great writing of Philip Pullman. So doing an audible real quick, let's jump to the Boreal storyline here, because he's going back and forth between these worlds again. He's going to Oxford 2.0 here, and he sees there is a jack on his car. So you have to wonder, Is he being followed? What's up with that? And he's even curious about it. So we get a really important scene where Boreal goes to this cabin in the woods here in this other world, meets with that redhead investigator again, and he finds out that Grumman in this world was actually John Perry, and that he actually was born in this world they're in and traveled to Lyra's world. And they question, well, how did he have a demon then? Because in Oxford 2.0, there is no demons, but now they're theorizing, wait, if you cross over the other way, do you form a demon? And now Boreal's kind of picking on him because he's like calling him out for not having the bravery to cross different worlds, and that it was terrifying for him. And just as a person, it's a terrifying experience because you don't know what you're going into. But he also is suspicious of him following him. He's like, why wouldn't you follow me? I'm someone from a different place. And what's also important is this investigator gives Boreal information that John Perry left a wife and child behind and gives him the documents on them. And what that will show later on is that Boreal goes to a different private eye here that he knows in this area, which makes me think this is the person he's been texting all episode when he's in this world, because I think he's the type of guy that is going to just off the redhead guy when he's gotten what he needed out of him, out of just suspicion, and get rid of him if he's going to give up his play here and find someone else to now leech onto for help. But he gives this other private eye here those documents, and there's a very important face in those documents. Book readers, you know who I'm talking about. And he tells this man to watch the Perry family. And the cinematography is just great in this shot here, because I love how these are like two men in the shadows, and they show that with the shadows behind them and the water coming through the shadows as well. It just was beautifully shot. So back at the Egyptian camp, we see that Benjamin is interrogating this gobbler, and he finds out from him that Miss Coulter's taking these kids to the north. And then Lyra informs Benjamin and Coram that Miss Coulter has plans in her desk, blueprints about what she's going to do with these kids. But right at that moment, the Magisterium shows up. So they hide Lyra, and this scene was done great. It's so tense. I was on the edge of my seat here. I love this dog demon that comes into one of the Magisterium people and how he matches his owner, where he's like a hunter, like these Magisterium people are. And Lyra's hidden a safe enough place. The Magisterium leave. And then we get this scene now that's a lot of heavy dialogue from Acosta here. The actress kills it, does a great job, but it's a lot for the audience to take in at once. It's a lot of important information. It's something you got to rewind and rewatch a couple times. I had to myself, and I've read the books too, and I still was like, whoa, what? There's so much stuff they're throwing at you. And what Acosta's going to do here is explain to Lyra why she's important to Miss Coulter and who exactly Miss Coulter is. But before I get into all that information, even in this scene too, I've enjoyed Dafne Keen's performance of Lyra, but I'm still questionable about some of it, and especially in these high emotional scenes. I don't know if she's hitting that heart and soul of it and that emotion that can fully come out and fully be invested in a scene as heavy as this. And I had said this in the previous episode when she finds out about her dad being Lord Asriel. It's same here when she finds out about her mom being Miss Coulter. I don't know if she's really hitting those emotional notes that a child at that age would hit when they find that out. And sometimes I feel like Dafne Keen, the look she puts on her face is sometimes of remembering her lines or just performing, but I don't know if she's ever fully in her character. But this is early judgment. Again, she's been mostly great, but I've seen moments of this that can be a little cause for concern, but I think it will only get better as it goes on for her, but we'll see. And the editing here in this scene was off to me. I think that goes to just timing on the editing. When they were cutting between Acosta's face and Lyra's face here, it was a little off by a second to cut, where they would say something and they'd pause too long in their face with a reaction where they should be going quicker, because that's how the lines were going. It was just off rhythm. So what's really just explained here is that Asriel and Miss Coulter fell in love when Miss Coulter was married, and then they got exposed because they had Lyra, who looked too much like Lord Asriel, to hide this. This developed so much shame in Mrs. Coulter. What also did is the consequences of this, where her husband, Ed Coulter, died because he was trying to kill Lyra and Asriel. And then Asriel killed him in defense of his home and to save Lyra. And Asriel suffered consequences of losing property, money for this, because the law gives you the right to defend your home, but like Acosta says, it also gives Ed Coulter the right to seek vengeance on someone who has slept with his wife, basically. And we learn that the law put Lyra into a nunnery, and Asriel actually snuck into this nunnery, got her, and brought her to Jordan College. Clearly to protect her from the Magisterium in a sense. And I really love how we learn all this about Miss Coulter, and it transitions to the next scene where probably the darkest scene in the show yet, where she's drunk on this ledge and going back to a line she has from episode 2 about being infatuated with heights and hinting at jumping. And here she's just playing like suicide roulette about the thought of just jumping off and tightrope walking, and you see the monkey reacting worried. It was pretty heavy stuff, and I love it because HBO's taking advantage of being HBO and being able to do stuff like that. But instead of acting on the emotion she has in this scene, she takes out these spy flies, which we'll see later in the episode. So I will say in this show, there hasn't been a scene that I feel like is a total flub until now, when we see this John Foss scene where he's making the speech to go north and get the kids. I have a couple issues with it. One being that it's super cheesy. There's no way about it. It's as cheesy as it gets, especially with the stomping. The problem is, when you're adapting a screenplay from a book, you gotta still be able to make it its own thing and adjust parts from the book to adapt properly to TV and television and this audience. And the book is obviously a kid book, but when you have it on HBO and it's got a TV-14 rating, you can cut out some of the cheesy vibe a bit here and adjust it for the screen. And they just kind of let it roll by the book here. And it wasn't done well in the sense also of how they wrote Lyra's speech when she's saying that she wants to do all this for Billy and for Roger. And the problem is, I'm not feeling emotions about that story ever when they talk about Billy or Roger. And that's just a problem with the TV writing for it. They're not adapting that well to sell that feeling for the audience to even really feel emotional about it or feel what these people are feeling. I don't think we earn that in this moment. We're just witnessing it and not feeling it. And also, I don't like how they had people going against John Foss' plan here and then quickly being down with it seconds later after Lyra's speech. So that really felt rushed, didn't have room to breathe, and it was forced. Just would never happen in real life how that worked. So that to me was just, scene was very poorly done. So now we get a scene here where Lyra sees Tony Costa. He's sneaking out. He's going to go with Benjamin to go get these plans that they heard about, that Miss Coulter has, to help their approach for the north, get anything they can get. This haircut Tony Costa has is driving me nuts though. Someone's got to update that for sure. I'm sure they got a pair of scissors on that boat. And then what's cool is they sneak in a little scene here where Lyra is looking at the lithiometer and she's learning the starting steps on her own and how to really use it. And her and Pan figure out she's got to first clear her mind. So now, in opposite to this John Foss scene I just ripped apart, I loved and praised this scene of the breaking in of Tony and Benjamin to Miss Coulter's place. What was brilliant about it was when they first get into the hallway here, it just takes one beat and you hear that damn monkey above them just stepping, and you know what it is, but they don't, which is great. And this monkey quickly catches him in the study and he comes in, he's screaming at them. I loved that. This monkey is still my favorite part of the show. I love it. It looks amazing. And they really go with the motions in its face. And then Miss Coulter comes out here with a gat. I love that pistol she was using. Look at the length on that thing. That was really cool. And she just shoots Benjamin's demon without even flinching. So she's very cold. And the director did such a good job here, and the editors, of syncing up so well how Miss Coulter pounces on Benjamin at the same time that the monkey pounces on his hawk demon. It lines up perfectly and looks so symmetrical. Great job there. That was such a thrill to watch and something so unique to see on TV. And I love one of the shots here they got from Benjamin's terrified perspective, and he just looks down the hallway and you see this monkey just grasping on to his demon. And again, that's just reflection of how they're sitting with each other, Miss Coulter and Benjamin, and then the monkey and the hawk. But Benjamin gets away for a second and he does the most boss move where he says to Miss Coulter, "I betray my family for no one." And he flips backwards into the elevator, sacrificing himself, and then his demon just poofs, gone. What a boss move for Benjamin here. I wish it was Tony and his haircut that went down that elevator, but so be it. Benjamin was an awesome character, so it kind of stinks we're losing him. So all around for that scene, masterfully done, directing, editing, and acting, of course. So we see here now, Lyra tells Coram about the lithiometer. This is the first person she's told about it, and this is the first time she's breaking the advice the headmaster said to her was not to tell anybody, so you wonder where that might lead to, if that was a good move or a bad move, but she trusts him, and he informs her that it takes years of studying from certain books to correctly use a lithiometer, but Lyra, we learn, is a different breed here, and we see she's able to read this lithiometer in the next scene without any help from a book. She clears her mind, and she's now learning to pick the symbols correctly and read them, and I love the extreme close-up shots of just her eyeball while she's doing it. This is such a magical moment in the book, the first time she's able to use it, and they did it really well here. And it lands on an hourglass with a skull. I just don't understand, though, how she connected that to being Ben dead. I wish they kind of made that clear, because they don't go back to that, which was really odd. You gotta give me a little something of Lyra, of what her thought process was on that. So she runs up to tell Corum that she figured this out, and then the spy flies come booming in when you totally forgot about them, so that was great. And then one gets out of there and they capture the other, but the problem is the one getting out of there is going to go back to Miss Coulter now and let them know where Lyra is. So we're basically just going to see that Corum informs John Fa about the lithiometer and Lyra being able to read it without the books, that she's special and that she could be super valuable here. And then we see Lyra goes to throw this spy fly they caught off the boat, but Mikasa stops her and tells her to keep it as a symbol of her mother's desperation for her, which is nice because it's also telling her, like, don't give up on your mom. And she just says, like, it's a valuable thing there and it won't do anything thrown in the ocean. It will still survive and you should just give it to Corum. And that even the Magisterium are afraid of spy flies. So it's nice because it rounded up where they're all heading north now, which should be fun. And this last scene here, man, this show is great at ending scenes and hooks. And we see Boreal with Coulter. Little thing you got to catch quickly is the great line where he says, what's with all the security? It's funny that she just ramped it up now after those two boys breaking in. And then boom, the spy fly comes in and informs her where Lyra is. And that goes right to credits. The music pumps it up here again. The show is so good at getting you hyped for the next episode and keeping that true adventure vibe to it. Like, this show is just a thrill ride, which the book was. So again, they're nailing that. So this episode is going to get an 8.9 from me. It's my lowest score yet for the show. The other two episodes I had really high. This is still a high score, but I brought it down compared to the other three because of having that John Fa scene. It was a little shaky, parts of the Egyptian scenes, and some of the acting, again, has been hit or miss with certain characters and great with others, but it still had one of the best scenes with this break-in scene with Miss Coulter. It's still moving at a great pace. I'm still really enjoying it, and the CGI is incredible. So let me know what you thought of this one below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, whether you liked it, you didn't like it, agree, disagree with me. And please, no book spoilers down below. That is not for here. Bring that somewhere else. I will delete your comment if you do that. We just discussed the show here. And please make sure to subscribe so you don't miss one of my reviews of his Dark Materials. And I'm also doing Watchmen at the moment, and I also do celebrity interviews as well, so you don't want to miss those. And please follow me at Steve Varley1 on Twitter and Instagram for more of me, and I'll see you next time.